According to United Nations, the urban share worldwide is projected to surpass two-thirds of the world population by 2050. Urbanization is practiced through various forms, often conceived as an generic, universally replicable type of human settlement. As the result of urban bias, to develop the rural is to turn it into an intensive, physically overwhelming urban city. This seems to be an excuse where such fixity and rigidity in conventional urbanization process has often delocalized the original characteristic of the rural setting. Urban-rural dichotomy often portrayed as an antithetical dualism rather than a neutral pair. Due to the urban bias, it shows a symptom of inequality in physical performance between urban and rural, therefore leads to the inequality of public perception between urban and rural. This thesis confronts such challenges through rural evolutionary resilience, which is to bounce forward to respond to the conventional urban planning. As referring to Christopher Lee architect, the city and its quality of prosperity, civility, and stimulation can be infusing with the very essence of the countryside. By being embeddedness but not escapism, rural evolution should embrace the emerging technology as well as the possibilities and opportunities from the urban, at the same time remain the environmental wellness and cultural diversity of the rural. This thesis promote two-aged equality between rural and urban and learn from the broad eco-city models by Frank Lloyd Wright, which is based upon the theory of decentralization by capitalizing the digital technologies of today's Society 5.0. The conceptual framework shows the realization of urban features into rural landscape to fulfill the socio-economic support, integrating with the functional support and leveraged by the technological advancement. The circular metabolism is applied and can be referred to Richard Rogers' City for Small Planets, which is carried out to reinvent a city which is decentralized while still centralized system. In a nutshell, the issue statement is that urban-rural dichotomy shows the symptom of inequality in physical performance and therefore the inequality of public perception between urban and rural. The fixity and rigidity in conventional urbanization process shows the generic, formulaic design based on clumsy stereotype which often delocalize the very essence of rurality. The thesis questions that how urbanization in rural setting can enhance the rural growth towards an equal value system between urban and rural without compromising the very essence of rurality. The thesis aims to reconfigure the urban architecture in rural setting in order to enhance the rural growth while retaining the rural essence and eventually to rematerialize and even re-socialize our cultural understanding of rural and urban space. The objective of this thesis are rural-urban interface and cultural identity leveraged by technology. In summary, there is a need to establish constructive interaction between urban and rural so as to urbanize the rural while retain the very essence of rurality. Through the cross-programming or disprogramming attempt that perform the urban features in rural landscape supported by the two-way adaptation of cultural identity and technology, which show the benefits of intensified rural performance as well as the positive public perception. The competition will be the ruralization in urban setting. In order to contextualize the ideation, the selected site is in Malaysia with high percentage of urban population. After the comparison of various rural settings in Malaysia, Bukit Tinggi area in Pahang is selected based on the macro contextual criteria including the proximity to urban area, the demographic trend of rural-urban crossing, the development trend of rural-urban shifting, the difficulty in accessing to urban facilities, and the essence of rurality. The microsite selection will be focused down at the edge of Pahang, which is the least urbanized state, that adjacent to the Klang Valley, the most urbanized state in Malaysia. After the comparison between Jandabai and Kampung Bukit Tinggi, the Kampung Bukit Tinggi is selected as it is located closer to the highway, which enable better connectivity to local social capital and resources, connectivity to the urban social capital and the market, and better site exposure. Kampung Bukit Tinggi is surrounded by tropical rainforest, in contrast to the corresponding urban site of Kuala Lumpur, which is highly intensive and physically overwhelming. The selected site is just 40 kilometers, which is half an hour driving from Kuala Lumpur via Gombak-Garak Highway, and such high-intensive spatial diffusion of urbanization is getting closer and closer as it sprawls. The problem of conventional urbanization is triggering the locals. The locals are protesting against such intensive urban planning to safeguard their rural home. However, based on the interview, the inhabitants are not against development as long as it is sustainable. Encik Sa Awanga mentioned that his relatives have moved to the more developed areas like Gombak and Kuala Lumpur, and he found that there is no reason to leave and thinks the development should come instead.